Hello everyone, AP is here, hope everybody's doing fantastic. Let's discuss Bitcoin price action, but before we do so, general disclaimer, this video is not meant to be taken as a financial advice, only for your educational and entertainment purposes. That being said, I hope all of you will educate themselves on how to read charts, become independent and proficient in your trading decision making, as it is the only path towards your success as a trader in the long term, despite what somebody might tell you. Now, my apologies for not being to update USBTC as promised in my previous video on the Sunday, 1st of April. I had a little bit of a personal issue going on which had to be treated ASAP, so apologies for that. Now back to the chart, and everything is looking even more bearish than I expected. So on the monthly time frame, which is very important here, we had printed a closing price below 61.8 Fibonacci line, which is 7.7k, spanning from Genesis to 20k top. Now, from my experience, whenever that happens, you go on the weekly time frame, you go into monthly time frame. In the near future, we'll be testing the support line provided by the lesser Fibonacci support, which at this point of time is 4.4. Adjust for your exchange, as this is Coinbase. Now, what is also important to signify here is that we had an 8-period exponential moving average providing support since 2015, and it has been the first time the last month that it has been violated and got a closing price below itself, which has also given us a double resistance at this 7.7k region, which is going to be very significant and a good shorting opportunity a little bit later, as is going to be discussed in the video. Now, what's interesting here is that some people will say, well, 8-period exponential moving average, it's not as popular as 50 and 200 simple moving averages crossover. What about death cross? We're going to discuss that a little bit later, but what's important to understand here is even though 8 exponential moving average is not as widely used as 50 and 200 simple moving averages, it is still signifying to you that there has been a scenario that the price action has adhered to for 12 years until it has been violated this past months. So it's telling you that the BTC doesn't act the same. And I have talked about that on a daily time frame, just from this simple charting technique of trend lines. Trend lines violated the previous momentum, and behavior of the asset is being violated as well. And this has been ongoing for quite a little bit of time, so the last trend line of significance that is left, coming from August 2015, is here. It hasn't been tested for a long time, so I certainly think that we'll test it in the near future. Also, we have this last support and resistance at 3k, so somewhere upon the convergence of this line, I think we'll have our bottom. Now, what is also important here, let's talk about death cross quite fast. So this death cross wasn't tradable because you had 18% gap in between the price action and the moving average convergence here, and the reason for that is all the moving averages techniques are built upon the argument of the regression to the mean. So that principle is telling you that if you want to play this short upon the entry of a death cross, you would need enough liquidity to cover this possible 18%. And generally saying, if you put liquidity on top of that, that's just quite poor trade to take, simply from the death cross perspective. Now, on a 4-hour time frame, we had a very good death cross opportunity here, shorting opportunity, because price action has been very close to the death cross. We have been resisted by 200 moving average from our advanced any higher, and on the daily time frames that has been happening for 3 days, so that was a good short to enter just from the death cross perspective. Now, if you wouldn't enter the short from the death cross perspective, how would you enter it? Well, quite easily. So let me go into weekly time frame here, and as discussed in my previous videos, we had this setup before. We had 2 bearish engulfing candles with big volume. So here, and then we had a bullish hammer on lower volumes than 2 previous weeks, and the sell-off continued the next 2 weeks. Now what's happening here? 2 candles, bearish engulfing, inverse bullish hammer, lower volume is telling us that we might go test 9.5k triple resistance. We didn't even do that. The next Monday you would have a good entry on short when we would start trading below the body of this previous candle at 8.4k, and your conservative entry would be below 8.1k here. Now you should have taken your profit along the way, but you would target either double bottom if you're a little bit optimistic like me, or you are targeting 50 moving average here if you're conservative. Now the reason why I should have targeted 50 moving average, and that has been discussed on my Twitter here, I had two setups. So I've called for a double bottom 5.9k as a most likely scenario, and here I discussed that 50 moving average is a viable target as well. And the reason for that is that we hadn't really interacted with that 50 moving average for a long time, and whenever that is happening with something as respected as recognized as 50 moving average on the weekly time frame, it would need quite a lot to print a lower closing price below this moving average. So also from Elliott wave perspective, 6.4k has been a very clear target. Now I'm going to discuss this a little bit later, but generally speaking, so my roadmap is the same. So 8.2k to 9.5k, I'm neutral. I'm looking at the oversold, overbought conditions to mainly play. At this point, I'm full on bearish. I'm only looking at the shorting opportunities, and if we close above 9.5k with a good candle, good volume above the downtrend line, I will become bullish. So certainly this scenario is, for my money, the most away one. So quite a little bit of time before we go in full bullish mode, as suggested by the higher time frames that we should test 4.3k quite soon. And let's go into lower time frame and discuss that in particular. So on a lower time frame, here. So in a lower time frame, if you remember my Elliott wave count, we had a WXY, we had an ABC to form a W, ABC to form an X, and now we're working on a Y, which has an A formed, a B formed, and we're going for a C. Now most likely it will go into WXYXZ to go for that final 3k bottom scenario. Now here is something quite interesting. So since 21st of March we've been printing lower highs all the time, and right now many people are speculating this is going to build an inverse head and shoulders here. Now I don't like to talk about the patterns that certainly didn't occur yet. The volume profile is a little bit questionable. Well, actually, shoulder head, if we'll get one more shoulder like this here, it will probably tell you that inverse head and shoulders can be validated if we break upon above this trend line here. But my problem has been we had this inverse head and shoulders with the matching volume profile a bit prior when we were sitting at 6.5k, and still the neckline got bridged, we didn't go upwards. Now we're sitting at 6.4k as an ultimate low for our head. This has been a shoulder. Quite fair, I'm not giving it much of a hope to form head and shoulders. I think we'll pull back generally to some region of 0.3 to 0.5 Fibonacci line. My apologies. So the thing here has been like this. So, and Elliott wave perspective, this has been very easy. So you had 7.6 Fibonacci retracement for wave 2. Then you had 0.236 Fibonacci retracement for wave 4. You had an ABC expanded flat for wave 4 in a lower time frame. Let's go into 1 hour. So this was like this. A, B, going to C. Now let's go to 4 hour once again. We had beautiful Fibonacci extension here at 2.618 for wave 3. And here is something that has caught me off guard, and if it wasn't for moving average I would pretty much get wrecked. And the reason for that is the only way to target this wave 5 was actually to go not from the weeks on the intraday they normally do, but from the closing prices. So from closing prices is wave 5 here is done as a beautiful one-to-one target of wave 1, which is the most frequent one after the 2.618 occurrence of wave 3. Now, I had this certainly like this at 6.2k because I was targeting weeks and not closing prices at that point of time. So if it wasn't for 50 moving average, I would pretty much get wrecked and would lose a lot of profit in this short coverage that it shoot afterwards in here. Now, what will happen with BTC over the next few days? Well, to be fair, the same roadmap. So most likely we're going to make some sort of an ABC here to 0.5. Now, I will only generate any long position because this has been quite questionable, even though it's adherent to the textbook example. For some reason, I don't really believe that we're still holding this position at wave 5. I might go to 7.4k and then flip lower for C, and that would give us what the target would be, 4.7k. So at the moment, honestly, there is not much of a bullish case to be had until we'll be able to clear this downtrend line here and close above 4-hour chart. I'm not initiating any long positions at all. I'm not even thinking about taking any buys on a long position, and that will depend on quite a little bit of an array of other indicators for me to enter the long position. Like, even though the most likely areas that it will travel to is 7.4k here, I believe there are better opportunities in traditional markets and maybe other cryptocurrencies that I can snipe than putting my money to play. How much is left? Like, let's say 400 USD on 7k position for 1 BTC. I guess there are better opportunities to be had right now, so definitely not going too long. I have my alert set here, so when BTC is going to clear 7.3k for me to start looking towards shorting opportunities. Now, since this was a wave A, wave B is mostly suspect to go to 0.32 to 0.618 here, so from 7.4 to 8.1k here, and I certainly will be giving it its leeway to play around, sit somewhere here until it will start doing something more. Now, I will start to ladder my entry shorts at 7.4k anyway. We'll be giving it quite a little bit of leeway to run, but as discussed previous, 7.7k on the monthly time frame is giving us quite a little bit of resistances in 61.8 Fibonacci line and exponential moving average of 8 converging upon the one support. So 7.8k is the highest that I can see BTC go to before the immediate sell-off will continue. It will also pull us closer to the death cross. So pretty much 7.8k is my immediate aspect to short. Also, what is important to understand, we had an all-time high on shorts at Bitfinex last Sunday, so last week, and this is telling me that people are pretty much trying to find out new avenues to make money in this bearish market. Good for them to find out about shorting after more than 60% of the loss of the price of the assets. But jokes aside, this is a very bearish sign for me, coupled with the fact that there is not much real buying going on, more as a short coverage and short liquidations of over leveraged positions that is happening more than anything else. Now 7.4, 7.8k immediate suspects, most likely will travel to those regions, stay there for a little bit of days for people to bite their nails if they're shorting, and then it will continue to go downwards. Now, as said previously, follow me on my Twitter. Sometimes I'm doing quick updates if the scenario has changed, and the reason for that is, well, trading is always changing, so it's pretty difficult to have your analysis for lower time frame 4 weeks prior, not 4 weeks, but like 4 days prior, to withstand all the volatility that is going in cryptocurrency markets right now, and to be viable in 5 to 6 days. Now my higher time frame analysis is telling us that we'll go for lower lows, and certainly it will be, but the path it will take towards those lower lows can be very different, and that is what we use Elliott wave for, to find the pathway of the least resistance. Now about altcoins. So I'm not touching much of altcoins right now, and the reason for that is, honestly saying, they're quite troublesome cases. So I've touched upon Neo, and the reason why I've decided to take Neo is because it bumped into my weekly, no, this is not weekly, this is a daily level of 4.8 to well, basically 42 to 48 bucks. I have initiated medium position 45 bucks. Probably will close it sooner rather than later. My initial target is here at 53.6. Now, if I will see BTC doing some bullshit, pardon my French, I will be generally taking my profit a little bit earlier, but most likely, to be fair, I might even take some profit now, because this has been quite nice. 45 dollars, not $45, 45. I can't talk right now. Anyway, so around 10% of the profit in less than 1 day is quite significant profit for me, for my trading standards. Now, it depends on the position, but 10% is generally quite nice. Now, BTC is going lower, Litecoin is going lower, 94, 84 region is where I'm spotting to buy LTC. What else? EOS. Now EOS is troublesome. EOS in this, and you can see that it just got rejected in a 15-minute time frame. It's in this wicked descending triangle at the moment, and if it will break it, what would the target be? Around $3.14. Let's go into daily, see if there is any significant price action at the point of time. Now, I actually think it will stop somewhere here, because there is just a big order block of liquidity. So like 394, 359. And also, I believe that it makes sense, because that's how EOS likes to behave. We had a descending triangle somewhat here as well. And you can see that it got to 7.86 closing price on a higher time frame here as well. So most likely somewhere here at 360 range, if this downtrend, downward sloping triangle is actually going to break downwards. Now what else? What else? LTC has been discussed, Neo has been discussed, Ethereum. Yeah, here is Ethereum. So I hoped for Ethereum to come up with some sort of bounce. Now I was trying to work out some Elliott wave count quite fast here. It doesn't really make much sense. We'll have to make it. We'll have to go into lower time frame to micromanage it. But basic premise is that we had this. Let me switch off volume for Ethereum. Now I suck. So here. Whenever we're talking about the violation of 61.8, you can see that it's most likely going to the lower Fibonacci line, which is at 3,310 USD to, how much is this? 283. Quite an order block of liquidity in this level, Fibonacci support, so most likely I'm going to initiate a position here. So also Ethereum is severely oversold on the daily. If it will dip into this level, I'm going to generate quite a substantial position, to be fair, here. Now also from the perspective, I guess this would make it a 1 2, 3, 4, going to 5. There are two ways to count this, from what I can see right now, just from winging it. And you could make an argument that it would actually go into the prior region, not the wave 4, which is here at 3.07, but it might even go to 1.64. Now I will update Ethereum a little bit later, but this is just made from the winging as I'm traveling right now, so not too much accuracy in here. But yeah, if there is something you should spot for, is Ethereum around 310 USD, LTC in between 83 to 94 USD, and NEO. For me, time is now, but the next, if this region is going to fail, my next immediate suspect one, because the 5 has been so from the roof, my next suspect is this region here, at wave 2 intersecting, so 39 USD. So NEO is certainly looking more and more attractive. Some sort of a, I wouldn't call this a bullish divergence, a very weak bullish divergence in that, but still it's looking better at the moment. Now, what else there is to discuss? I pretty touched upon everything. So BTC pretty much going to this region here. You can initiate long silver break this downtrend line. Yeah, guys, I think I've discussed everything that I wanted to discuss. Sorry for being not so collected during this video. As I said, had a little bit of a personal stress going through, so let's hope BTC is going to adhere to this scenario in one way or another, so all of us can make money. And certainly it is going lower, so BTC is effed for quite some time in my opinion. I have no reason to believe that we won't have a good altcoin summer coming 2018, but you should realize that BTC is going to go lower, then it's going to bottom out in some shape or form, during which sideways only altcoins will bloom and BTC will be standing in its place until it will be able to mark up once again. Anyway guys, girls, if everything is happening, go to my Twitter here. If you want to reach out to me for personal reasons and maybe private lessons or help you to manage your portfolio, I'm also available. I will let you know my pricing in the private messages, and certainly maybe coming next few weeks I will be taking upon the possibility of me to look through your portfolios, give you general advice, and give you private lessons on trading if you so want to. I will provide prices for those. If somebody wants to tip me for making these videos, LTC tipjar is going to be in description as it takes quite a little bit of time. And also I will be making trading lessons on YouTube quite soon. I won't be releasing them until I will have a full package, so if you want to get them earlier you can tip me at LTC tipjar, send me the transaction to my Twitter, and as I make those trading videos I will be sending them prior, then they will be available for everyone else. Anyway guys, hope everybody's gonna make some money this week. Good luck, sorry for rambling, see ya.